What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to College Football Talk with Peter Burtonette. The Ohio State Buckeyes, it pleases me to say, are the 2024 national champions in college football. It was an incredible effort throughout the entire postseason by these Buckeyes. It was a lesson in resiliency and being able to bounce back from a loss that would have set back most teams and left every team out of the 4-team college football playoff. But the Buckeyes were afforded the chance in this 12-team playoff. In this video, I'm reacting quickly, just kind of a rapid reaction to the national championship game, how the Buckeyes got it done, and what it kind of means for the legacies of this team and for the future even maybe of Ryan Day. But before I get into it, if you go on to enjoy this video, please feel free to leave a like, consider subscribing to the channel, and turn on those post notifications so you're always up to date whenever I upload. But getting things started out, I mean, for those of you who don't know already, if you can't tell from the hoodie or however much is on this video, I was born and raised in the Buckeye State. I'm from Cleveland originally. I grew up and went to high school in the Columbus area and then University of Dayton for college. So I'm through and through a Buckeye, so seeing them win definitely fills me with feelings of just pride and joy to see the Buckeyes after all they've been through. But getting through this national championship game, Notre Dame really brought a haymaker on that first drive. It was something like 14 plays, maybe even more than that. Took up like almost 10 minutes of clock, and they just kept pounding Ohio State on that drive, and it took a lot out of them. I think after that they were kind of on their heels. I mean, Riley Leonard, after getting the Fighting Irish into the end zone, ended up going to the sideline and was puking, and that just shows how much effort it took to go on that first drive. Then after that, it was really all Ohio State for the majority of the entirety of the second quarter, most of the third quarter, and really a good portion of the rest of the game. They go down. Jeremiah Smith gets wide open on kind of end around. It was a pass, but it was kind of a screen pass when in motion, I think, and was pretty much wide open across the middle of the field. Might have been past the line of scrimmage. I'm misremembering here a little bit, but he gets wide open, goes in for a touchdown. Then the Buckeyes get a stop. They go down, score again, and they do the same one more time before halftime with a late touchdown. And it was just kind of an incredible effort from the Buckeyes. Then leading 21-7 at halftime, they really keep the momentum going with a solid drive to start the second half, including a massive 70-yard run by Quinshad Judkins, who had an incredible game. I mean, he was one of the players of the game for the Buckeyes. I know Will Howard got offensive MVP, but I would almost consider having given it to Judkins because of what he did. He finished with an impressive stat line, exactly 100 rushing yards on just 11 carries. That's 9 yards per carry. And so an incredible effort from the Ole Miss transfer to the Buckeyes. And then drive, they stopped Notre Dame again. Drive kind of stalled. They got held to a field goal, but they're leading 31-7. So, you know, Buckeye fans, Irish fans, college football neutrals alike, we're all thinking this one is over. But Notre Dame was not going away easily. They were able to get some things moving on offense. Jaden Greathouse really did a great job. The one thing for Notre Dame, kind of reacting to this, is it seemed like they didn't really run the ball very well. I'm looking at the stats right here. Yeah, Riley Leonard, 17 carries for 40 yards. Jadarian Price, 3 for 13. And Jeremiah Love, 4 for 3. That's not going to get it done. And I know for a large part of this game, they really had to go with the pass more. I mean, Riley Leonard had 31 attempts, and he really put together a good game, 255 yards and 2 touchdowns. But 7 carries for one of the best running back combinations in the country, that's not going to get it done. And again, I know that's because they were playing from behind, but they didn't even get many carries early. That shows that. It didn't matter too much. It probably mattered just enough, though. Jaden Greathouse, again, 6 receptions, 128 yards, and 2 touchdowns. He had a huge game. He, obviously, again, with those 2 touchdowns, he had the one to cut it to 16. Then Notre Dame shuts down Ohio State again. They get the ball back. So Notre Dame gets another shot. Then they get down into a goal-to-go situation. They get stopped around the, I think, 8-yard line or something like that. And they decide to go with a field goal. And this is the decision that's going to be questioned for a long time, for forever potentially in Notre Dame history. Marcus Freeman, in this scenario, down by 16, decides to go for the field goal. And down by 16 with 9.5 minutes left, I think that's probably enough time to say you just go for it in the end zone. 3 points doesn't really accomplish a whole lot right there. Going for the touchdown is what would have. Again, probably doesn't like his chances. I heard this, I think, on the broadcast or in the post game, that don't like your chances of going for it from 4th and goal at the 9. But still, I think in that situation, it's easy. It's easy to say, yeah, you should have thrown the ball. But when the commentators are saying that, and I'd be interested to see what Coach Freeman had to say about that decision after the game. I'm sure he was asked about it. If I find that quote, I'll throw it in this video. But just kind of, questionable call. They stopped Ohio State, the play that I was talking about with Howard, and then they go down and score again. And that's where it's like, this is really interesting. This could have been to tie the game. Instead, you're going and forcing yourselves to score a touchdown, get a 2-point conversion. Again, a great play there. Great throw by Riley Leonard to Jaden Greathouse. Ohio State, a couple of penalties that allowed things to continue. And then Ohio State puts themselves in a bit of a bind. They start moving the ball a little bit, but then they get into 3rd and 11, and this is the moment where the freshman phenom that we've heard so much about and seen so much from made his play that will go down. He's got 2 years to go, assuming he stays at Ohio State, but his play that will go down in the record books, in the history books. So a couple of runs, like QB-designed runs that work for Ohio State sometimes, but Notre Dame loaded the box and it didn't work there. So Ohio State's stuck in a 3rd and 11 situation. And it's what Scott Van Pelt has said, that he's texted Chip Kelly, and that all of us, watching these games have said, throw the ball to 4. And that's exactly what happens. They see it's man coverage there. I think Notre Dame was bringing a little bit of a blitz again. They were certainly bringing pressure there. And that left him one-on-one, I think, with Christian Gray on this play. And Smith gets kind of the move. He gets the step, gets past him. Howard lofts up a beautiful, perfect ball, and it falls right into Smith's hands. And then he gets down kind of inside the 20, I think. And Ohio State then, this was, I think, inside the 2-minute warning or just outside of it. And so they get the ball. They really played pretty conservatively after that. They were kind of just going for that field goal. Jaden Fielding, a moment of redemption for him. I mean, how about this moment for Jaden Fielding being able to, missing 2 kicks against Michigan. He made 2 in this game, including the one that really put the final seal on the national championship win. So many players to shout out. I probably will spend more time shouting out just so many players of this team. Cody Simon won defensive MVP. He had a huge game. JTT got home for a sack or a couple of TFLs. Big game from him and from the defensive unit as a whole. Yeah, they looked a little shaky in those kind of the second half, especially later in the second half, but overall played so incredibly well. And Ohio State wins the national title. So quickly, just kind of running down my thoughts on what this means for Ryan Day. It really was, as much as he probably doesn't deserve it to be this way, it was national championship or bust, effectively. I think the way that they had performed in the first round and quarterfinals, he probably, I don't know how serious, in terms of the AD at Ohio State, Ross Bjork. I mean, I know he said he was defending Day, but if they would have put up a goose egg against Tennessee or really looked flat even if against Oregon, his job would have certainly been in jeopardy. But he really kind of solidified his job, and now he goes down with Jim Tressel and with Urban Meyer as being a national champion at Ohio State. I think, yes, losing to Michigan stinks. It's the biggest regular season game for the Buckeyes. No game, regardless of how much you want to talk about a rivalry, is as big as the national championship game. And I think being able to get the job done and win 4 games, the way that Ohio State did, really seals his place in Ohio State history among the greats. If anybody's going to do it the way college football is structured right now, maybe it will be Ryan Day, but nobody's probably never touched Woody Hayes in Ohio State history with his number of titles. But Ryan Day gets the one to match the last 2 coaches, and that makes 3 titles. I mean, Coach Day said it. It's 3 titles in 50 years, but it is also 3 titles in 22 seasons. So that is still, puts Ohio State, again, back kind of up in among the best. When Alabama and Clemson had won those titles, they kind of became the kings of the 2010s and put themselves there, and Ohio State kind of slipped a little bit behind them because they only had that one in the college football playoff era so far, behind Alabama with 3 and Clemson and even Georgia with 2. But they've got 2 now to join Clemson and Georgia. I think, they've got some guys coming in next year. They're going to be the preseason number 1. I think it'll be interesting to see if Julian Sayin is the guy at quarterback or somebody else comes in. Again, more conversation probably for another time. This is just a quick reaction, but it's a good day to be a Buckeye, a good day to be a native Ohioan who supports Ohio State. But let me know your thoughts on the national championship game, what it means for this Ohio State program. What legendary status now for guys like Jack Sawyer, like JTT already mentioned, Will Howard coming in, Travion Henderson, a little bit quiet in this game, but he had a couple of runs, I think, kind of early that picked up some good chunk yardage. Emeka Egbuka, wide receiver, incredibly emotional after the game. Carnell Tate stepped up. The guys on the offensive line, there's so many guys to list off. The guys, in the linebacker, Caleb Downs coming in, the impacts he made. Wasn't always pretty. Cornerbacks, Davison Igbinosun and Denzel Burke. Definitely not the best game for Igbinosun with a few penalties, but Lathan Ransom as well. Sonny Styles. The list could go on and on. Jordan Hancock for this Buckeye team. They will all go down in history. Yes, some will look at their record against Michigan, but they will also go down as national champions for 2024. So that is the legacy that you hope to leave behind at Ohio State. To leave with a championship ring is ultimately the ultimate objective, and they achieved that. So congratulations to this Ohio State team. How about Michigan and Ohio State stamping the Big Ten right now as the perennial power? We'll see what sort of response the SEC has next year, or maybe a shock out of the ACC. I doubt that, though. But that is all for this episode of College Football Talk. Thank you so much for watching this entire season. I'll have kind of a season in review like I did last year coming in the next few weeks probably. But that's all. Thank you so much again for watching College Football Talk. I'm your host, Peter Burnett, signing out. Peace and OH.